Hugh Freeze being an offensive guy, that was the staff that really needed to all be in line with him the most.
One of the biggest storylines in the offseason has been coaching turnover for Coach Hugh Freeze here at Auburn in his second year. Some of that we saw coming. Some of that was maybe some shocking things that we've covered in great detail on several previous episodes. Make sure you go check out that for thoughts here. But the staff is now complete. As far as we know, it can tell at this point. It doesn't seem like any other promotions or opportunities are going to come available as of this point, especially with the latest one, Jeremy Garrett getting opportunity to go to the pros, our defensive line coach, and then having the opportunity to elevate Vontrell King Williams to not defensive tackles coach, but defensive line coach, or defensive. I did it backwards. Defensive line coach.
Correct. Yeah.
But he's going to be defensive tackles coach. So the staff is complete. It looks like.
Again,
how do you feel? Like, I mean, do you think it's done?
I think we're done here. We need to be done here. I think that was probably one they felt like we were done with, and then Jeremy Garrett gets an opportunity that we talked about last week that he can't really pass up.
Right.
He's from the NFL. It makes total sense for him to take that opportunity again. So congratulations to him again, and looking forward to seeing how well he does. But this was a name that we started hearing closer to when it finally was announced or reported, and a guy who's really well liked for this team, on this team, by the players, by the other coaches and analysts. He was a defensive line coach with Hugh Freeze at Liberty. Yeah, I think that's right, and then came as an analyst. So I'm really happy for him. He's getting that opportunity. It's not just like it's a bump up from an analyst and his first time coaching. He's had experience in this before and done well on the levels he's been on. And I think that this was a really good move to continue, as we've talked about so many times, the culture that Hugh Freeze wants to instill. And he's familiar with Vontrell. The player, he's been around a lot of the players for a long time, and they really like him. So I'm really happy for him. I really hope it works out well for Auburn. I think it will. But this is a exciting move for him, and I think it's going to be an exciting move for Auburn.
I think it's important when it's appropriate to promote from within when you can, not just for the sake of doing that because it feels good, because we're all family here and that's what you do, is nepotism and all that kind of stuff. But when it makes sense, this is a guy that has already coached in a similar position previously at a different institution, at a different level, truly SEC compared to, I think their conference.
They were independent at that time. Yeah.
Independent at that time, not SEC level. Come over here, cut your teeth, wait for your time, and here you are in an SEC position as a defensive tackles coach. And I would imagine over time, who knows what's going to happen with the staff, maybe being elevated to the complete defensive line coach. Not that that's less of anything what he's in now. It's just the way this sets up with the personnel that you currently have. Speaking of, let me give you the defensive personnel. We'll start there to kind of paint the picture of what this staff is going to look like. We have talked about a lot of these names, a lot of references to previous shows here. So you guys should make sure you go back and check out some previous episodes to this point. DJ Durkin's your new defensive coordinator. He will coach the linebacker group officially. Charles Kelly, your co-defensive coordinator, coaching the safeties. Josh Aldridge moves from linebacker coach to defensive edge. That just sounds like a cool name. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. Defensive edge coach. Like that sounds intense. So happy for him too, to get I don't want to call it a different opportunity, but something new for him as well. Then you got Vontrell King Williams, defensive tackles coach. And I like to me, it would have been cool to maybe call him defensive interior defensive coach or something like that. I don't know if that's too much. And then Wesley McGriff in his latest return trip to Auburn, if he ever left at all, cornerbacks coach. So that is your defensive staff. Your thoughts? What do you think about this group?
I think it's a good group. It's been a long time that this group has kind of finally come together. I don't think that we thought it would take this long, and now that it has, you look at it as a whole. I know a lot of people wanted, that defensive line spot to have someone really SEC experience. There were some big names going out there, but I think when you look at this group as a whole, there's a lot of promise with it. This is a group that's going to have to coach really well next season for Auburn to be excited, or for not to be excited. We are excited for Auburn to be good on that side of the ball. But there's a lot to work with. You've brought in a lot of guys who have experience, a lot of guys who have been at Auburn before and who want to be at Auburn, and also some young guys that'll help you on the recruiting trail and learn from those older guys who've been here. I think that it excites me the most to see how the experience of Charles Kelly and Wesley McGriff can mesh with the Vontrell King Williams and the Josh Aldridges, and there's guys at different points in their career who are now kind of coming together, kind of make this defense work.
I like that you pointed it out that way. You've got a mix of experience, bigger names,
right,
people that are more familiar with, and then you've got the up and comers. And to me, that's a good sign of a healthy coaching staff. Now, look, people are going to get more opportunities. They're going to leave. If you're Wesley McGriff, you're going to come back again. Maybe, I don't know. Look, I just like some of the makeup of, especially this defensive side of the ball. The more I look at it. Controversies already discussed 1,000 times here on this show, on more live streams with DJ Dirk. We acknowledge all of that. But what you can't ignore is the pedigree, the experience, the recruiting, the reputation for what they can do as coaches that's out there. To me, I didn't dislike the makeup of our former defensive staff under Hugh Freeze, but I think I'm looking at an upgrade here. Frankly, in what I see right here, and some change, yes, like we just talked about, because of somebody getting promoted, somebody leaving, all that stuff. Titles have changed in a sense, but I don't even look at Josh Aldridge as much of a change, because when you're linebacker coach, you probably have a little bit of say in the edge position anyway. To me, that's more of a natural kind of flow of things than anything else. So I'm happy with the defensive staff. Offensive staff, we've talked about them probably not as much as of late, because that kind of got figured out very quickly, or at least quicker than most thought it would. Derek Nix, your new offensive coordinator, running backs coach. And please, Austin, tell me I'm going to pronounce this right. You can laugh if you want. Ben Agamoa. Am I right?
Oh, I hope so.
I believe it's Agamoa.
That's how I would have gone with it.
And I've tried thousands of times. So Coach Ben, I'm sorry if I continue to mispronounce it, but I think I got it right. Tight ends coach, as he has been, so no changes there. Kent Austin elevated, another analyst elevated up to a positional coach, quarterbacks coach. Marcus Davis, we know, who has brought in arguably one of the best wide receiver recruiting groups coming up this year. And then, of course, Jake Thornton. So not a lot of change there other than a new offensive coordinator, running backs coach, and a promotion for a quarterback coach position. So I know it's not as much to discuss there, but since we haven't talked about them recently, your thoughts on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, I think with the offensive side of the ball and Hugh Freeze being an offensive guy, that was the staff that really needed to all be in line with him the most. And I'm not saying that Philip Montgomery wasn't. I'm not saying that Cadillac wasn't. But I think that this group, when you look at it as a whole, they're all guys, besides Marcus Davis, who he's brought in. They're all guys he's coached with before that know him, know what he wants offensively. There should not be any questions about what the goal is, what the terminology is. They're all going to be on the same page. And I think that's big. I really think that was probably a big point. I think Philip Montgomery, we all had an idea and a thought of how we thought that would go, that they would work together and mesh. I'm not saying they didn't mesh. I'm not saying there was any animosity there. I'm just saying sometimes, who you're familiar with, not a good fit, and who you're familiar with is what, you're more interested in. I think that's where we ended up with Derek Nix and Kent Austin being quarterbacks coach. I don't really see any way there is a miscommunication with this offensive staff. They're going to know what they do. It might not always work, but they're going to know what they want to do and how to do it. I think that's a big deal you got to have in today's coaching world.
And, one of the big storylines is always going to be, is Hugh Freeze calling the plays?
Right.
And my discussion with people is when this is brought up a lot, I say, look, I would be stupid to ignore the fact that he saw the lack of production offensively last year and is not going to take a more heavy-handed approach in that. But I'm also think for people that don't think Derek Nix is being brought in to actually be the offensive coordinator, even if it's partially at first and then given the reins over as that comes along, he's the offensive coordinator, folks. He is going to be given the opportunity. The head coach has oversight over everything, and Hugh's forte is offense. So you would definitely want him to be invested, want him to be involved, especially in, I won't say a younger, Derek Nix is not young, but he is
young in his career. Yeah.
Exactly. In terms of having, you know, you get what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Not when we compare him to a DJ Durkin, to a Wesley McGriff, you know, they've been in those positions that they've been in for a long, long time. So this staff on the offensive side of the ball reflects Hugh, and then the defensive side of the ball has got experience and some big power hitters in a lot of different areas. So when you encompass all this together, I'm really excited. And I honestly walked into the change for the staff very cautious, trying to kind of take it in stride, not overreact social media over things, and just kind of think about this. The more I look at it, the more excited I am to see this identity begin to shape this year, folks. Let me say that again.
That's right.
Begin, not it's instant gonna work, but the beginning of moving forward as a program.